Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Come on, pick up. Is anyone there? Listen, we broke out of resort jail. It wasn't easy. I'm not sure that pool noodles are supposed to be stretched lengthwise like that. And Zaron found out that if he coats himself in bacon grease, he can slip through just about any tight spot. He got chased by a pack of loose emotional support dogs, but a quick dip in the hot tub cleaned him right up. We also learned that carjacking an airport shuttle is way easier than we expected. Good life pro tip there. Anyway, we headed down the highway with resort security in hot pursuit and some golf carts. We gave him the slip and pulled the airport shuttle into an abandoned barn. This is so cool, like Smokey and the Bandit action. Enough of that. We need to hide out here until it cools down, so we won't be in today to record. Since we're all about that jailbreak life now, can you run a classic prison escape episode for the rude dudes? Maybe something en français? Keep it sleazy, D.
Hey, Elizabeth Dutton. You know what's ridiculous?
Yeah. That the dessert called the peach enchilada does not contain tortillas, but does contain Mountain Dew.
Whoa. My mind just leaked out of my ear like warm Mountain Dew.
Yep.
That is ridiculous, but I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of breaking out of a French prison in a helicopter.
Okay, that is definitely ridiculous.
This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It's always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous. Okay, this story takes place overseas in a French prison. Well, you know, some of the French prisons were over here, but this one is actually in France.
Ooh la la.
Oh, oui. Now, picture it. It's a quiet Sunday morning in the tiny town of Fontenay-Tressigny in rural France. A helicopter instructor awaits 3 new students at a small flying club. But when his students arrive, they're actually a trio of well-armed commandos who have AK-47s, and they demand the flight instructor fly them to the Centre Pénitentiaire Sud-Francilien. It's a French prison in nearby Roux, or Roux.
Just close by.
Yeah, it's close. In another town with REAU. Now, thanks to months of drone surveillance, these commandos know that there is one spot in this French prison that is not covered by helicopter netting. So, of course, this is the one spot where they land their helicopter. And boom, the masked men, dressed all in black, arrive at the prison around 11:20 in the morning, local time, and 2 commandos hop out of the hijacked chopper. They carry with them the aforementioned AK-47 assault rifles, the classic in the insurrectionist, terrorist, and military-adjacent community, the preferred gun because it doesn't get stuck when you have mud. But they're going to a French prison. Mud isn't their concern. They just need to be able to pop off and scare some folks. So they set off some smoke bombs.
Nice.
They use a handheld cement grinder, and they use that to cut through the heavy prison doors. Now, one commando, of course, stays behind with the helicopter because you don't want that pilot taking off and leaving all of them in the French prison.
Yeah.
So the 2 commandos work their way through the prison, and they make it to the visitor's room. Why the visitor's room? Because that's where the mastermind of the escape is waiting for them. Rédoine Faïd, my man. Now, Faïd and his commandos all gather up and return to the hijacked helicopter, and they fly to Gonesse, or Gonesse.
Goodness.
There you go, that one. A suburb of Paris, or Paris. It's about 25 miles northeast of the city, right? So the commandos, they hop out in this town, what you said, and they set the pilot free, and then they torch the helicopter. They burn it. Well, no, this is not that bad. I mean, it's bad for the guy who owns the helicopter.
It's wasteful.
It is wasteful, darling. Yeah, that's very true. But then they flee the torched helicopter in a black Renault. They make the clean getaway on the old A4, like it's like basically a freeway in France, and it has like, you know, roundabouts and stuff. Anyway, they tear off and they disappear. Next, they go and they meet up with where they have a new car so they can swap cars. And then this one Just like with the helicopter, they torch the Renault and then they hop into a white utility van that they have parked in a shopping mall in Aulnay-sous-Bois. It's another Parisian suburb. Anyway, the eyewitnesses spot Rédoine Faïd and his team of commandos as they hop into the white utility van. And this, in Paris, there's plenty of white utility vans, just like how there are plenty of white pickup trucks here. Like it's a work vehicle, right? Yeah. So this is not going to catch anyone's attention. And just like that, the 46-year-old international thief, bank robber par excellence disappears, having escaped from a French prison in a helicopter, then a Renault, and then obviously a white van. But this, mind you, is not the first time Rédoine Faïd has escaped from a French prison.
Oh, it's not?
No. This guy, I want you to be able to picture him, the man. He's not a hardened criminal the way you might picture an American criminal. This is not somebody who has come up in the mean streets and this is his only choice. He chooses crime. He did come up in a tough neighborhood in a suburb of France in the town of Creil. It's mostly an immigrant community. He is a son of immigrants, but at the same time, he chooses to be a criminal. He has the talents to have been able to be most anything he wanted to be, with obviously a lot of hard work and some luck, but Rédoine Faïd chooses crime. He wants to be a mastermind criminal. His first hero is this guy, Jacques Mesrine, a big-time local criminal of the slums in 70s Paris. That's where his imagination starts.
So he opts into this.
He wants this. He not only wants it, he basically wants to become more famous than the big slum criminal that, and when he grew up, ran his town.
Sure.
He's like, I can pass that guy, no sweat.
He's way cooler. He's like, I'm way cooler than this guy.
I'm a boss cool than this guy.
A 70s Paris suburb criminal, like mastermind though, like a guy, like a mob boss sounds kind of cool.
Right, yeah. So you have like small-time criminals like Carlos the Jackal, independent people being able to pull off huge international crime. So the imagination of criminals has changed in the 70s.
Well, and they're all walking around in like loafers and bell-bottom Sansa pants, like polyester and like slightly feathered hair.
Exactly.
And grimaces and like, tinted glasses, yellow tinted glasses.
Very sensible turtlenecks, lush.
That's what makes the whole thing. That's what makes them so menacing is their fashion choices.
Exactly. I mean, a leather jacket and a turtleneck.
Oh.
Wow. Criminal. Terrifying. It's just, like formal wear for a criminal.
I just turned my pocketbook over to him. Take it.
Okay, so Rédoine Faïd, he's got his mastermind hero, Jacques Mesrine, right? And he's like, I can beat this guy. So he goes, now how can I train to become a bigger mastermind criminal? What would you look to if you wanted to become a better criminal?
Could you get books in the library?
Yeah,
like
I
how
guess.
to, like
not really
criminality for dummies.
How to rob a bank for dummies.
Criminality pour les dummies.
No, but there is something called Hollywood, which is exactly that.
Totally is.
So Hollywood is just making all kinds of criminal movies. And during the 70s, you have like a heyday of crime movies. So, and then also in the 80s, when Rédoine Faïd is a young man, when he's a teenager, as he's coming into his own, he has particular the films of Michael Mann. He loves Michael Mann. And if you're not familiar, Michael Mann is the director who did Heat, which has one of the most epic gunfights ever by bank robbers. And that's the type of crime Rédoine Faïd has his mind set on. But there is one big difference. He's not a violent criminal. He doesn't want to hurt people. He not only doesn't want to hurt people, he ensures he never hurts people. Now, this just sets him apart from most of the criminals of his day because it's easier to get away with a crime if you have no witnesses. It's easier to get away with a large heist if you have killed the bank manager.
Right.
He's like, no. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is. Even though he is France's preeminent hold-up man, bank robber, like he is the guy by the early 90s, he has established himself, but mostly it's because he has people left behind to tell the stories of his crimes.
Oh, spread the legend.
He wants legend.
Nice.
Exactly. So the nonviolence gambit works for him for years because, one, he doesn't have victims who go to the police insisting to get justice for their murdered brother, father, son, wife, what have you. Instead, you have people who are thankful that this folk hero bandit has left them alive, and now they have an interesting story to tell. If anything, he kind of gifts them with something that makes them special, and everybody retells these stories, and the legend of Rédoine Faïd spreads.
Well, and
right?
he's sticking up banks, right? So it's not like he's robbing people's homes.
Mm-hmm. He's not breaking in. He's going into jewelry shops. He's going picking up like the bank deposit trucks. He's robbing banks. He's going to the people that have been basically not necessarily exploiting the French people explicitly, but who the French people feel they have been exploited by. So they're on the side of Rédoine Faïd, this criminal, and the French in particular. They like their criminals. They like gangsters. They are particular, much like Americans, fans of the gangster film. So Rédoine Faïd starts giving them a taste of it in the real life, and they come to love him. But the fact that all of his heroes are actual bank robbers from movies gives him a leg up in terms of his legend. So he becomes a dedicated student of Michael Mann. Michael Mann is his criminal Bible, right? It's basically the Willie Dixon to his Led Zeppelin 4. Right? So he's like explaining how his criminal mind works. And Faïd tries to give some journalists an insight. So I'm going to quote Rédoine Faïd here. Forgive my French accent.
Okay.
Recently, journalists asked me, you had a big criminal career and you did it yourself. You're self-taught. I told them, no, I had a technical advisor, a college teacher, a kind of mentor, and his name is Michael Mann.
I didn't know that Pepe Le Pew robbed banks.
Yes, he did. When he's not harassing kittens, he's robbing banks and giving me my voice. So Faïd finagles his way into a screening when Michael Mann is doing that Johnny Depp movie Public Enemies.
Yeah.
So Public Enemies comes out. Johnny Depp is, not over there. Michael Mann is over there in France, and he's doing like a Q&A. Rédoine Faïd says, I got to talk to my master. He sneaks in and pretends to be like a film reviewer or a film student. And then he raises his hand, and he's like, Michael Mann calls on him. And Rédoine Faïd stands up in this room full of pretentious French cinephiles, and he says, he remains the absolute example of organized crime inspired by life, by people, real facts. He tries to transmit them in his cinema. I am a former gangster. Unfortunately, I do not brag about it. I just spent 10 years in prison. I attacked armored vans. For 20 years, I have known Michael Mann. I discovered him with Thief. And with a bunch of friends, we've watched his films as a bit as news reports, as documentaries. And now Michael Mann is listening to this crazed fan tell him that, one, he's been in prison for being a real robber, and he's inspired by Michael Mann. And Michael Mann's like, thank you for that. I don't know how to respond.
Because this isn't so much a question, but a comment.
Totally. It's the classic one.
He gets up and taps him first-time caller, long-time listener.
Now, you have to understand, Rédoine Faïd has a sense of humor that I kind of like about this guy. So Michael Mann is his dude, right? And Michael Mann has Heat, and Heat is very much an iconic movie. But there are other iconic crime movies from that era. For instance, Point Break.
Oh, yes.
Now, you remember that movie.
Yes,
Catherine
I do.
Bigelow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's one of your favorite scenes in that movie? Is it the bank robbery?
Sure.
Do you have any favorite bank robbery scenes in that movie?
You know what I think my favorite scene in the movie is when Keanu says, I am an FBI agent.
Oh,
and the Redone would say, Je suis un agent de DGSA.
Not bad.
The General Directorate for External Security.
Yeah. No, that's...
Or General Directorate for External Security. I guess they don't have a translation for that. De la Sécurité Extérieure.
Way to put your back into it there at the end.
Dude, I did hard time in high school French, and that's all I have to show for it.
Well, then I want to apologize to you, as well as the listeners, for my French accent. Let me backtrack.
Yeah.
About the Catherine Bigelow Point Break.
Yeah.
The scene that he is inspired by from that movie is where they're wearing the rubber masks for all the presidents, the dead president, or the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
So he does that over in France, but he does it with French leaders. So it's like
Jacques Chirac.
Exactly. Jacques Chirac and General Charles de Gaulle are robbing a French bank. Now, when he's deciding not to imitate Michael Mann or Catherine Bigelow, there's a third favorite film director of his from 90s era Hollywood. Now, what criminal director from 90s era Hollywood do you think he loves?
Woody Allen.
Wrong type of criminal director. I meant a director of crime films, not a director who is a criminal. Yeah, it's tough. I know. It's.
I don't know. That was a good time for criminal films, especially like indie ones. Who was it?
Quentin Tarantino.
Mais oui.
And so in Reservoir Dogs, he has all the guys named for colors, and they have that big fight about, why do I got to be Mr. Pink? Or Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown sounds like Mr. Right?
Right.
So it's Mr. White, Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown. He does the same thing. He names his guys after colors. So he's constantly aping these Hollywood movies and basically making Hollywood real in a way that nobody has ever really done.
So it's like cosplay.
Yeah, it's like cosplay criminal.
Wow.
So imagine now that Redoine Faid, using this like tendency for theatricality, also this criminal imagination and a level of ambition rarely seen in a criminal, because he's not just going for money. He wants legend. He wants story. He wants to be remembered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is very French if you think about it. It's like, it's not so much about the money as about the how. So the next thing he does is he gets too good at being a criminal. He starts robbing banks all over the continent. He's robbing banks in Switzerland. He's robbing banks in France. He's robbing banks anywhere he can that they have French-speaking populace. Belgium, he's going to rob banks there. He gets so good that the EU, even though it's not the EU then, the European community starts to look for him. Interpol is after him. It is like pretty much a matter of time before he's caught. And he knows this because there's only so many places a really flamboyant criminal like Rédoine Faïd can hide. So what does he do? Where would you go if you needed to escape the success you have as a criminal?
Oh, man. Somewhere where they're just not going to look for you, I guess. I mean, that's obvious. It's not a very smart response.
Oh, I mean, like Moscow, Antarctica. These are all places. Buenos Aires. These are places that people probably wouldn't look for him. But that's not where he goes.
Fresno,
Stockton. Yeah, no. Instead, he goes to Israel. And he becomes Jewish.
Oh, just easy as that.
Yep.
1, 2,
he just
3.
says, you know what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go become Jewish.
He just
in Israel.
declares himself Jewish.
He says, I'm now one of the chosen people.
Wow.
God chose me.
Okay. Well.
So it's amazing. He converts to Judaism. He literally goes to Israel. He starts hanging out the Orthodox community. He wears a yarmulke. He starts studying like the Torah, the Talmud, the holy liturgies, and just going to town trying to become Jewish. Now,
just going to town on it.
Going to town trying to become Jewish. Now, this lasts for a few months, but by 1997, Faid's like, you know what? I'm over it. He stops being Jewish. He goes back to Europe, goes back to crime. Now, do we know why he wanted to be Jewish? Was it legitimate? Was he just trying to hide out? Was he trying to work a scam? We don't know. It's just a part of the brilliance of his legend. For a short period of time, Rédoine Faid was Jewish.
Well, the Lord speaks to everyone in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. He was motivated to a higher calling.
Yeah. Maybe there was some sort of con that he felt, because we know details of all these ridiculous crimes that we talk about, but then I always like to think about, what are the things that didn't make it public? Like, what happened that no one found out about? So maybe he had some like weird little con going.
Maybe he fell in love with a woman who was in Israel, and he's like, I'll go to Israel, become Jewish. And she's like, nah, this is not working. He's like, I'm not going to be Jewish anymore.
That could be.
No? Am I too much of a romantic?
No. I like to imagine that it was like a Yentl situation.
So he's trying to pretend he's a Jewish man and he's actually a Jewish woman?
I don't know. I just wanted to
Have you seen Yentl?
I think so. I just wanted to say Yentl.
One of Barbra Streisand's best.
Yeah.
Let's just give it to her on that one.
Totally.
So back to my man, Rédoine Faid. Let's put a pin in that and we'll get back to him after this short break. So my man, Rédoine Faid, has been hanging out in Israel, pretending to be Jewish, possibly converting, and he's been on the run. He decides to go back to Europe. He hits back to Switzerland. Now, what do you think he does when he gets back to Switzerland?
Okay, so he's left the kibbutz. He's in Switzerland.
Yep.
Opens bank account, buys chocolate.
That's what I would do, but
Rides
no.
a St. Bernard down the street.
These are all things that are excellent choices. But Redoine Faïd does none of them. He robs a bank. So he robs a bank, and it doesn't quite go as how he plans it. Instead, he has to take a policeman hostage, which is a new thing for him. He doesn't normally do this. But he's like, I don't hurt people. So he uses the policeman as a chit. He's like, basically as a hostage, he goes, if you don't hurt me, I'll let the policeman go. He lets the policeman go. He doesn't get hurt. He escapes. Mm-hmm. But he's now back on the radar of Interpol. It doesn't take them long. Like I said, he is finally captured. His luck is completely turned. He is arrested for a slew of robberies in France and Belgium and Switzerland, and he is sentenced to 30 years in a French penitentiary. He is just 26 years old.
26.
He did all of this before he was 26 years old.
Wow.
But he's a gangster. He's a mobster from way back as far as how he views himself. So he does his dime just like any other mobster would, doesn't say a thing. He's like, I can do my 30. Turns out the French were like, after 10 years, man, you seem to be a changed man. You seem to be a rehabilitated. And they decide to turn him free. So now Redoine Faïd is free. A brilliant man. And what has always been his primary concern?
Movies.
Exactly. The drama of stories and the power of legend. So what does he do? He decides he'll tell his own story. He's like, I can make a fortune by talking about being a criminal. I don't need to be a criminal per se.
Right.
So he writes a criminal know-how book, like basically a how-to.
Criminality for les dummies.
Yes, exactly. And he calls it Braqueur des cités au grand banditisme. Something like that.
Banditisme.
There you go, just like that.
The banditism.
So it roughly translates as robber from the streets to great banditry. So
Robber.
Exactly. So this story is like obviously self-aggrandizing. He becomes a grand criminal on the level of like Moriarty, right? So he does, but the problem is he doesn't have his own Sherlock Holmes. He only has all of French police, right? But that's not enough for him. He needs more conflict. So he then becomes a hero who can wag his finger at all French culture as the former criminal who can tell them where French society has gone wrong. He goes on TV and becomes this moral scold. And he basically, because they're having a problem in the 90s with gangsters, people going around shooting everybody up, he starts telling them that basically it's the French authorities' fault. It's society is to blame. It is not these young men. It is society. And everyone's like, oh, may we. And they all go crazy for it because it's the lesson that they want to believe is true. It's not us. It's them. It's the French authorities. So now what happens? You think this is going to go well for Redoine Faïd to go from criminal to criminal explainer?
I think that it sounds like it's so in his blood that he has crafted this so heartily. I don't know if he can get out of it.
I'll give you a little sneak peek into the mind of Redoine Faïd. If I am telling everyone I'm no longer a criminal, they will believe it, which clears up a lot of room for me to be going back to being a criminal.
Oh.
So it's all a cover. He is now masterminding crimes because nobody would think that he would dare become a criminal again. He said he's not. It's so important to his identity. He goes right back to it and masterminds a bank robbery.
So he's doing like TV appearances.
Mm-hmm.
He's on like Good Morning Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the poison of the state. Mm-hmm. And then that is
brilliant, right? And he has
clever.
the book. He has the book out, so the press is constantly talking about the book. They have him on. Everybody wants to talk to him. And he's a charming, ambitious, creative, intelligent man. So he's a great guest on French TV.
Sure.
And he has that little bit of dark wit that they like. So he doesn't mind making fun of, at the time, Nicolas Sarkozy, who was the French president.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're in 2011, right? And around this time, about, let's say, 3 days after he appears on a French TV show, Redoine Faïd gets arrested. Why does he get arrested? It's because his bank robbery, he's a mastermind, goes bad.
Oh, no.
Like, Michael Mann would be, like, really excited by how bad because it would make a great movie.
Oh, no.
Okay, you ready for a short story?
Totally.
Okay. It's early in the morning. A patrol car cruises past a white van. And they're like, oh, look, a white van.
A ubiquitous white van.
It would mean nothing to these cops, except there are 2 big bullet holes in the back of the white van.
Oh.
That's not supposed to be in a work van. So the French cops, they pull over and they stop to investigate. What is going on here with these holes in your van, right? Inside the utility van is a squad of heavily armed, masked men, all holding AK-47s and wearing balaclava masks. So they're freaking out. They're like, well, what are we going to do? So the driver just starts pushing into traffic. The cops are circling around the van on foot, and the driver just pushes into traffic, hits a car, takes off. The cops go back to their car, give chase. The heavily armed men in the back, what do? They do some Fast and Furious type-ish. They push open the doors, and they start spraying AK-47s at the cop cars in traffic.
Oh, no.
Right? How insane is that? So they're driving around on their Fast and Furious vibe, and the police cars swerving and crashing into cars. The van load of masked men escape. So it looks like everything's fine.
Yeah.
The getaway driver follows the original plan the Rédoine Faïd created, a brilliant plan. It had a backup car. They go to the backup car. They exchange cars. They're like, well, we're not going to be able to rob the bank today. They start driving away. Little do they know that somebody in the gang must have snitched because there is a tracker underneath their getaway car.
What?
And when they come up to the freeway to make their escape, there is a police car waiting for them on the bridge.
Oh, my goodness. This is like out of a Michael Mann film.
Right? So the masked men, still dressed in their camouflage, bulletproof vests, and their balaclavas, they basically start shooting the heck out of that cop car.
Oh.
They shoot up. There is a young male cop and a young female cop. They're both shot up. The window explodes in just a symphony of glass and light. And the female cop, her name is Aurélie Fouquet, something like that.
Sure.
She is a mother to a young child, and within hours of this interaction, she is pronounced dead. Her partner, Thierry Moreau, he is hit in the chest. He survives. But with Fouquet passed away, she becomes the first female metropolitan police officer in Paris to be killed in the line of duty.
That's horrible. So
Right?
she's our 1%.
She's our 1%.
Murder in
Yes.
here. Oh.
Her death shocks the Parisian culture. They're not used to this military-style violence. They're used to this in movies, but now Rédoine Faïd has made it a real-life thing, and it's tragic when the blood actually hits the sidewalk in the streets.
Well, and I feel like he wouldn't sign off on this sort of thing. This is like he's got crew members.
They messed up big.
Yeah, they did.
And that moment of fear ruins everything.
Oh.
So Nicolas Sarkozy, he takes this shooting super personal. He's like, no, this is not acceptable in my France. Apologies to all the French. He launches a nationwide manhunt, right? And he's going to bring justice to these criminals and bring these criminals to justice. Now, do you think it takes long for him to find any of these people?
No, I think that they put the hammer down.
That same night, the police arrest one of the suspects.
Wow.
That same night, Malik Kaider. And when they get to Malik Kaider's hideout, they discover assault rifles, they discover grenades, they discover the same balaclava masks that the gunmen were wearing in the van. They didn't get rid of them. So now they've got DNA for the whole crew.
Oh, wow.
Boom. They're all done.
Wow.
So Rédoine Faïd hears on the news that he is now a person of interest, a suspect in this crime. He splits. He disappears. He goes on the run. He is not going back to prison. He doesn't care about being embarrassed and all that, but he is not going back to prison.
Yeah.
Not because remember, he had time left on his sentence. He was released on good behavior and being a changed man. They will tack that back on. He's going to be looking at a 30-year stretch at least. Because of his parole violation, it's going to be a guarantee. And masterminding a bank job, I think, is a parole violation.
I think so, a little bit.
So on June 8th, 2011, he is finally captured after being on the run for 6 months. For 6 months, he was able to avoid capture, but of course, he's captured.
Yeah.
And this now brings our story full circle. Our French Robin Hood is going to a prison where a helicopter will come in and free him.
Ooh.
Well, I'll get right back to that after this break. So, Elizabeth, Rédoine Faïd, you like him? You don't like him?
I do. He's got moxie.
So what about him do you like?
I like the fact that he is clever.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that he goes out with the intention of being nonviolent in this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's entertaining. He's an entertaining criminal.
Like, how can you not like him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the French authorities kind of have the same stance. So Redoine Faid, he's recaptured after being on the run for 6 months. There's been this whole media circus about this famous former criminal. Turns out that's not the case. He's been scolding French society. Apparently that doesn't necessarily work because he's still the criminal. Nicolas Sarkozy has been embarrassed by him, and now Nicolas Sarkozy gets to punish him. So everything is starting to rebalance out for the most part, right? Well, he goes back to prison, and what does he do in prison? Starts plotting an escape.
Sure. He's like the El Chapo.
Exactly.
Escape artist.
So on April 13th, 2013, Redoine Faid's wife shows up for a visit at the detention facility in Lille, France, where he is being held. I've been to Lille. It's a lovely little town, great museums, but I can't imagine being in a prison there. It just doesn't feel like a prison town. It'd be like being in a prison in Montreal.
There's prisons there too.
Well, I'm sure, but it just seems like a town where you don't want to be in prison.
Yeah.
It's like it's too nice.
Yeah.
So Faid, he needs to get out of this prison. So what is he going to do? He uses a bomb to blow up a heavy prison door.
Sure.
He then uses more bombs and keeps blowing up prison doors until he's finally worked his way out. So he takes a gun, that's a fake gun, and he uses that to get 4 prison guards hostage. He uses the prison guards as a cover, and then they all make their way out of prison.
Where was he getting these bombs?
The suspicion is his wife brought them in when she visited, but there is no proof of that. It could have been he got it from a guard or inmate. Redoine Faid's lawyer insists that his wife had nothing to do with it, and it was purely coincidental that she happened to be there on the day that he broke out and happened to be seeing him at the time he was breaking out.
Such is
all
life.
purely coincidental.
Yeah.
You have to be French to understand this.
Okay.
So once they're free of the prison walls, Faid, who's staying true to his MO, he doesn't hurt anyone. He lets one cop go. They go a little further. He lets another cop go. And then finally, once he lines up with his basically, I don't want to say his co-workers, but basically
his teammates,
his fellow criminals, they decide to release the final 2 hostages, and they take off. Now, for the next 6 weeks, he does whatever he wants. He is free as a bird, right? He's wearing a wig when he wants to go out and get some chocolate milk, you know? But this doesn't last long because eventually somebody catches up on the fact there's this really strange man in this cheap motel who doesn't seem to mind the price of anything and should be somewhere else, and it becomes an issue. The police show up, and they surround the Flophouse Motel. They rush in, and a team in all black, armed and ready for war, approach the hotel room, and where is Redoine Faid? Right there, waiting with a stunned face. How did you catch me?
Did they rip his wig off? His fright wig?
You wouldn't have caught me if it weren't for you meddling children. So they catch him unguarded, flat-footed, totally unaware, and he's like, I can't help but be impressed. Because he's Redoine Faid. He's like full of himself. He doesn't think he's going anywhere because he knows he's not going to be held if he can help it.
Right.
But now he has to go to a trial because he's held on the bad bank job that he has avoided. That's a separate crime. He has to be tried for that. So he goes into a trial. Now, what do you think you're going to use as a legal defense if you're Redoine Faid and you weren't at the crime?
It wasn't me.
There you go. So his legal defense is also a charm offensive. So he basically tries to win over the jury by being so French and so unsufferably a folk hero that only they could love him. How could they hate him?
Did he bat his eyelashes at them in his charm offensive? Would that all work on the French? I feel like we have notions about other countries here in the States and we, give them characteristics that perhaps they don't have, or that not everybody has.
I think we forget about the effects of classism on French culture, that if depending on who's in this jury, you're going to have a very different opinion of how they view him.
Yeah. I think that's very true.
So he tells the jury at one point in his trial, I may not be Robin Hood, I'm not a hero, but I never killed anyone.
So, hey.
He's basically making his case, which is, look, I'm a folk hero, I'm a legend, I'm not fatal.
Yeah.
The French are like, oh, that's
good point.
It's all fair, all fair. Now, meanwhile, this is the kind of dude who gives 3-hour monologues in court. Redoine Faïd stood on the stand and gave a 3-hour monologue explaining why it was that he was in this courtroom.
This is when the people who are super stoked to be on that jury are like starting to doubt how their own stokage.
Yes, and also I think sometimes those types of charm offensive can back up all of your forward progress because people start getting mad that their ass is still in that seat.
Yeah, 3 hours of a monologue is not charming. You know what it is? Ridiculous.
So Redoine Faïd admits to his jurors that if they find him guilty, he'll just attempt to escape again. He's like, look, I'm going to say it like it is. I am not going to allow it to be held. But then he tells them, but nothing is written yet. So French.
So French.
So what do you think the jury does? Do you think they go guilty, innocent, or hung trial? Or
I don't know.
Hung jury.
I don't know.
They say guilty. He is found guilty, returned to prison, and good to his word, he escapes French prison in a helicopter.
Wow.
Right?
Well, nothing was written.
And this is where we came in.
Yeah, that's right.
He had promised them, and then he gave them an even bigger one. Last one's like, with bombs. This time he's like, we're not going to repeat the same trick.
There's a certain elegance to the helicopter. And the one spot where the anti-helicopter netting, did they run out of funding for the netting? And we're like, it's kind of off to the side. Or like, was the guy who was supposed to put it up just like...
He just measured it wrong and made it at one spot?
He didn't measure twice, cut once.
Classic mistake.
He eyeballed it.
Yep. And then he had like a big square and he's like, oh, man. Well, it looks good, guys. No helicopter could land there.
Who would do that anyway? We're being overly cautious, you guys. Yeah.
He painted himself into a corner.
Poor fella. I wonder if he lost his job.
Actually, I do not know. That was, let's just say he didn't, because I would hate for him to lose his job.
Exactly.
Because of Redoine Faïd's excellence. It's not so much, he had the drones flying over the prison for weeks.
Sure.
So,
But I also I'll endorse someone losing their job in the criminal justice system, like as a corrections officer, because...
I'll endorse it because I want them to not have that job.
I want that to not be a job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm with you there. Okay, so how would you escape from a French prison?
I would be a really good person who just to get like what they call a trustee job. So they're like, she's so well behaved. She's she got her act together. And I would work my way to be able to work in like the prison bakery. And, I'd wow them with my breads and confections, but then I'm also perfecting baking a giant baguette. And so I'd bake about like 3 or 4 of these giant baguettes, like human-sized
baguettes.
And then
like
one...
coffin-sized baguettes.
Coffin-sized baguettes. And I would hollow one of them out and sneak myself into it. But I'd also be constructing a giant paper bag and a giant bicycle with a giant basket on the front. And so then I load myself into the baguette in the basket. So it just looks like a giant's bike with baguettes.
Okay.
And then what happens is they don't think that's weird. They just like all the prison employees think they're hallucinating, that something's wrong with them, that we must have eaten some sort of like mushroom spores or bad cheese. And in their panic, then as they wheel off this oddity of this giant bike with giant baguettes, I'm in one of the baguettes. And then as they wheel it out, I tip it and I fall, and then I sneak out, I roll out of the baguette and run into the woods.
I like it.
And I live among the wolves.
The French wolves.
The French wolves.
I like that's a great plan. Redoine Faïd should hit you up.
I've put a lot of thought into this. I have diagrams if you want to look at them. Measurements for flour and yeast.
I think I would just wait for the French national soccer team to be playing in some major tournament, and I would just walk out the front door.
Oh, yeah, because everything would come to us.
Exactly. No one would be paying attention. So that is the basic story of my man, Redoine Faïd. And he, comes up as possibly one of the most epic movie-inspired criminals of all time. But as a Frenchman, it's even more so impressive because, I don't know. It seems like kind of more of an American thing to go like full Mickey Mallory. I'm going to be inspired by the movies. And like, that just seems American. I don't know why. But it seems like the French would be more inspired by like
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis in literature. Exactly.
Or the literature of Jerry Lewis.
Ah, the great literature of Jerry Lewis. Mm-hmm. So my man, the 46-year-old crime legend, is now currently been returned to a maximum security French prison after being caught for the third time. The French Justice Minister, Nicole Belloubet, he told Europe 1 Radio, quote, "We're going to put him in a high-security facility where he will be watched extremely closely." So that's the promise, but we got to believe Redoine Faid's got to stay at least one step ahead of him. So we'll see. If he's free once again, we'll tell you about it, and it won't be a surprise. But it'll be hard for me not to root for this folk hero.
Same.
So what's our ridiculous takeaway here?
I think that if you're gonna do something, you got to go all in and make it interesting.
Ooh, I like that. I think my ridiculous takeaway for him is pick a good film director, stick to it.
Stick to it.
For me, it'd be Billy Wilder.
The crimes of Billy Wilder.
If I'm going to become a criminal, I'm going to use Billy Wilder's playbook.
That's good.
Cross-dressing, run away to Miami, get involved with the gangsters. That's my score.
Well done.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Zaron Burnett.
And I'm Elizabeth Dutton.
You can find us online at Ridiculous Crime on both Twitter and Instagram. Got a tip for us about a ridiculous crime you'd like to hear about? Maybe one you committed? You want to confess to a ridiculous crime? You can email us at ridiculouscrime@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett. Produced and edited by Dave Kustin. Research is by the intrepid Marissa Brown. The theme song is by Thomas Lee and Travis Dutton. Executive producers are Ben Bolin and Noel Brown.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.